Today's date is the 11th of June 2012. This is audio blog number 14 on the Look For Me series. And I've just had a rough couple, 3 or 4 days. Rough in that the word has gotten out that we're doing this film trailer. And I'm starting to get hit with casting submissions left and right from all over Texas, Dallas, Houston, down in the Valley, San Antonio, Austin. I'm not sure exactly how the word is being passed, but apparently I know in some cases there are casting agents that are hitting us, for their clients, and other people are responding to stuff that I placed on the internet. But it's getting to be fast and furious, and I'm looking at it saying, well, gee, how am I going to answer all these people? And I am. I mean, my goal is to answer each and every person personally. I do have some canned information that I send to everybody that talks about the project and what the roles are, what our goals are, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm looking at every resume, and I'm looking at every clip that's being sent to me, and I'm looking at every photograph that's being sent to me. And I do that, my sense of obligation is if they think enough of this project to submit their information, then it's my duty to look at it very carefully and consider each and every one of them. Now, the very first thing that hits me when I look at these is I look at a photograph and I determine, does that person look or not look as though he or she could play a particular role? And I've got my characters, I've got about 90 characters. For each character, I have an index card where I wrote down their name and biographical information, what they look like, and all that kind of stuff. Now, those 90 characters aren't all main characters. There's about 37 that are, they're not really main characters, but they're important characters. So 37 of those, and then the rest out of that 90 would be background, people that I've got to have, but their qualifications are not nearly as important as you go up the ladder. And then I've got I don't know, a dozen or so that are just really, really important, and that's the couples, the Laurie and Wallace couples. All of those are really important, and they have to be done right. And one of the actresses told me, which it's absolutely a no-brainer to realize this, is she said, "Hey, we're trying to get the best role we can get." They don't want to be background, or they don't want to be extras. They don't want to be somebody just in a room that you barely see. They want a speaking part, and they want some on-camera time. And I don't blame them. I mean, if I was trying to get a role in a motion picture, I'd want some screen time myself. I mean, that's how they get known. That's how they show their abilities, how they demonstrate their talent. So I was glad that lady told me that. I mean, I knew that anyway, but she put it out there. She said, "That's what I'm looking for," and I appreciated her doing that and being honest about it. Some of the others, you can tell they haven't had much experience with submissions to a casting call because they either don't have professional headshots, or they don't have a good resume. Some are in the process of doing it. One thing is that somebody in Texas has coached everybody, or most everybody, on how to do a resume, because the format is very standard. And the word has gotten out, if you're going to send a resume, send it like this. And they're usually 1 page or 1.5 pages. And it makes it very quick and easy to go through those. So my hat's off to the agents and or the teachers out there that are teaching the actors how to set this up. One thing that I would like more of, which some actors have and some don't, is some video clips. I'd like to see them in action. And so what I'm doing for everybody, even if they do send me a video clip, if I'm interested in them, if they get past the first blush, which is that they want to, or that they look like they could play a part. If they get past that first blush, they have the look or potential look, then the very next thing I want to know is, can they act? And I want to know what their voice sounds like. I mean, I'm actually casting voices too. We've had a few people who have submitted clips, and their voice is just all wrong. And they look like they could play the role. They're probably very talented, but their voice just doesn't do anything for me. And it's hard to describe that, but in my case, I think the auditory part of this movie is very important, because there's some very intimate scenes, and you know, you don't want to have an intimate scene and all of a sudden have you know, a real nasally voice, for instance. I mean, it's not written that way. If it was written for a nasally voice, then that's what I'd be looking for. But this is a love story, and so I'm looking for men's voices that have a certain richness to them, and women's voices that have a certain richness to them. So the video clips and the audio clips are actually really important to me. That may not be true with every other director, but in my case it's important. They have to look the part, and they have to sound the part, and then they have to perform the part, which means they've got to demonstrate to me that they can memorize and deliver lines. Well, I can't decide that until we see people in live audition. So what they have to do is they have to pass the first two tests. Number one, look the part. Number two, sound the part. And then come for a live audition and then perform the part. That's kind of how I'm making the decision, and I don't know how other directors do it, but that's my procedure. So anyway, today, before I left the house, I sent out some more invitations. We're going to have our second live audition is going to be on June 16th in Austin, and so I sent out another round of invitations, and we'll see who responds. I found before that even inviting somebody to audition doesn't mean that they're going to. We had a couple that I wanted to audition, and they didn't respond, and then we had a couple that had planned to audition and then had to step out at the last minute for various reasons. So I don't know until I invite them whether or not people are actually going to come. Now, there's one lady in particular that I invited in the first audition, did not hear back from her, and she just keeps coming up. I go through my list, my entire list, before I do any of this, and then she just keeps coming up as I want to see this lady audition. So I sent her another invitation, even though I didn't hear from her last time. I probably won't hear from her this time, but I just want everybody to know that she has the look that I'm after for a particular character, and she should audition. But, you know, if she doesn't want to, there's nothing we can do about that. You know, if this becomes a hugely successful project, you know, this will be the story. Well, that's the lady I wanted, and obviously whoever we pick will do a wonderful job, otherwise we wouldn't pick them. But you know, you hear stories in Hollywood where actresses talk about the roles they turned down that turned out to be huge roles with Academy Awards and all that. Well, I guess this is how that happens. The other thing that I've noticed is people will submit their resume and their picture, and then I'll ask them to do a video or an audio clip, and then I don't hear back from them. It's like they don't want to go to that much effort. And I think in a sense that's helping me make decisions too, because if a person doesn't want to go to the effort to send in a clip, then maybe they're not going to be willing to go to the effort to do the role. So I'd never intended this to be a litmus test, but it's kind of becoming one. And in terms of the clips, I'm just asking people to take something with their phone or with their computer camera or something like that. I mean, and I'm not getting anybody coming back saying, "Hey, I don't have any way to do that." If they did, I would say, "Okay, let's do something different." I don't know what it is. You submit your name for something, and then the production company's interested in you, and then you just disappear. I don't get that. I mean, I in the 2 auditions that I did, when they asked for follow-up, I provided it. I don't know why you would get in line, and then when you get up close to the front, you step out of the way. Now, one thing I guess that could be the issue is people get intimidated. They look at this project and they see how it's going, and they see it's based on 4 books, and they see, I hope that they see that we're handling it in a very professional way. This is not some student film. Even though we're not backed by a big Hollywood studio, we're still trying to do it in a very professional way. And I think in a sense that becomes intimidating. If a person hadn't had a lot of experience, they maybe feel like they won't do well. And I wish they wouldn't feel that way, because I'm literally looking for unknowns. And when I say I'm looking for unknowns, what that means is that I want people that are fresh and new. Now, maybe they've had a lot of experience, and I think some of the people we've cast already, you look at their resume, and they didn't just decide last night that they were going to act. I mean, they have a pretty extensive acting, most of them. Now, one gentleman that we've cast, he's still in high school, and he doesn't have a huge resume, but he's got talent, and he's cute, which is what we needed for that role. So, and I think he's going to work out great. I think people are going to love him. So people that maybe haven't had a lot of experience, maybe they get intimidated, but I try to put everybody at ease, because I think anybody, when they make the first couple of cuts, they get to the point of a live audition. I mean, anybody could win. Anybody could be cast, because it's the talent that matters. And even if I have to do some directing and coach them into the right kind of performance, I mean, you expect that anyway. And that's one of the things I try to determine in the live audition is, are they capable of taking helpful suggestions in order to change their performance? And those that we've cast so far, my answer is yes. They're very good listeners. I'm very pleased with them. And that's what matters. One of the things working with models is, a model can have natural talent, but at the same time needs to listen to what the photographer sees, because he sees it and they can't. It's a shame. I mean, I wish a model could see what he or she looks like through the camera lens, but they really can't. I mean, I've noticed this before, with modeling, is that they'll look at their reflection in the lens, and that helps. That helps them see the way they look. And one of the things I've never done, but I'm going to someday, is I'm going to take a mirror and hang it around my neck, just a lightweight mirror, so that they can look at that mirror and get an idea what they look like. Of course, I don't want them to be self-conscious. I want them to look at the camera. Anyway, our next audition should be interesting. We've got a lot of good people that we're going to be looking at, and we're just same process as before, trying to get it all scheduled, giving people 30-minute time blocks that they can pick from, and then whoever shows up or whoever responds first gets his first choice, and then as they fill up, then I've got to work them into the other spots. And when they come in, they'll fill out an application, sit and wait till they're called, and then they'll come in. We're videotaping all these auditions, so we're going to see what they look like on camera and what they sound like. And once a person schedules an audition based upon an invitation, then what I do is I send them script material for them to learn, and I want them to do it 2 ways. One is to read the script with the script in hand, and the second is to have memorized a portion of it so that I can hear how they respond to having memorized something. And those two factors are important. Being able to read it's important because they can put their emotions and stuff into it on short notice, whereas memorizing, it tells me whether or not they're able to do those lines without the script being handy. Now, one of the things I'm going to do, and I'm debating whether to put it on YouTube. I might just put it on YouTube. I want to teach my actors my memory technique, and so I might just do that. I was going to do it live, go to them, have them sit down and teach it to them before we get this get the filming started. I might do that and tape it. That'd probably be the way to do it. That way other actors can look at it and, you know, see how it works. Or I might just teach it to the camera. That's a possibility too. It's a very simple technique, but it works great toward getting lines learned and presented. So anyway, we'll give you an update as things roll toward our next audition. Everything's looking good. This whole thing is coming together. One note: I'm starting to gather props and trying to find backgrounds and sets and all that kind of stuff. And there was a guy who is a set builder that kind of griefed me some. We had an email exchange where he was saying, hey, you need to pay people to build sets. And I totally agree. If there was a bunch of money to pay people to build sets, it'd be easy to hand somebody a contract and say, here, go build a set. That'd be fun. We don't have that kind of money. And the whole purpose of the trailer is so that we can put together a package so that we can go out and find that kind of money. So in the meantime, you know, I'm trying to get sets any way I can, sets and props and so on and so forth. And so that's what I fully intend to do. Well, and I was emailing last night a gentleman who I've not met. He sends me funny stuff on the internet all the time, and I get a kick out of reading his emails. And I knew that he was into cars, but I didn't know quite how deeply he was into cars. Well, it turns out he's a car guy and has been a car guy, I guess, most of his life, building, restoring, buying, selling, helping people go get specific cars, I mean high-dollar cars. And I asked him, where can I get a Model T and or a Packard, which we're going to need for the trailer, a 1925 Model T and a pre-1956 Packard. These are specific cars that are in the film, and he said, hey, no problem, we can find those. Now the Model T, 1925 Model T that I need needs to be kind of beat up because it's a truck that Dean drives, and he buys it, in the store he buys it for $50, so I don't want a brand new restored Model T, I need an old Model T. The Packard can be newer looking. Well, anyway, this gentleman, he went on the internet and he found me a Packard within minutes, $3,500 for the Packard. Now, I don't necessarily want to spend that kind of money, but I asked him if I bought it, could I turn around and sell it? So, you know, I might do that, or might see if we can borrow one. Not sure what we'll do. The Model T, he said, is going to be a little harder to find because most of them that are out there have been restored, and you won't find one that's beat up. You're going to find good-looking Model Ts. Well, Dean does not have a good-looking Model T. He has an old, beat-up Model T, so we'll have to work with that. One idea I had is, well, maybe we could film the 1932 segment in black and white, and then a new restored Model T would look like an old beat-up Model T. So I don't know. Anyway, it was just funny that this, like a lot of things, are just falling into place. I didn't know that this guy had that much talent when it comes to cars. Man, he sent me a list of stuff that he's done. I couldn't believe it. My mind was blown. And it's just, he was right there, you know, somebody that I've corresponded with, lives in the local area. So he agreed to try to help us out in locating the vehicles, and that was very gratifying.